What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by BetMGM. Today, we've got our NFL player projections for week number 4. I'm your host, Chris Raybon, and here to break it down with me, one of the top rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, what's going on? I heard you're feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah, not feeling great, but you know what would make me feel a little bit better talking football. So
All
ready to
right.
rock. I saw you're off to a hot start. I think we're both at 69% on the season. So we need to go celebrate.
Oh yeah. Had a good week. I think it was 5-2 last week. 5-1 on Sunday. So yeah, it was a good week. And but if you want to feel better, you did sweep me in props for this
Oh,
pod. So
nice.
you went 2-0 and I went 0-1 because the Browning never.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out a way. Maybe you have to give me 3-1
And
extra
and
1 week.
and Nakua's prop ended up being 6.5. So that was pretty close. But he finished with what, 5 catches? So
Yeah, 5 for 72. Yeah. For this episode, we go through each of our top fives at all the positions, players we're high and low on, and of course, we throw out some props. So let's get right into it with quarterback. Sean, who are your top 5 for week 4?
So I have Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Justin Fields at number 5.
Whoa, Fields is
Yeah,
back,
that scared me too. I don't know why, but he's there.
huh? Early week projections, love it. I got Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Herbert, and Tua. Leave Tua in
That
there.
makes sense.
Looks like it's gonna be a shootout, but yeah. Who you high on?
So I'm high on Daniel Jones this week against the Seahawks. He's had 2 duds this year, but both were against really good defenses in the Cowboys and Niners. And he finished QB1 in his lone easy matchup against the Cardinals. So he has a good matchup this week against Seattle. They've allowed all 3 quarterbacks to throw for more than 320 yards. Their defense should improve if they get Jamal Adams, Reek Woolen back this week, but they tend to allow a ton of plays. Each of the last 3 seasons, they've allowed the top 3 plays per game. So the added play volume should help Jones, and I think this is a good week to invest in him. The Niners did a good job containing him, with his rushing upside last week, but I think he's going to have a good game on the ground, and I think this is a week where he and Darren Waller specifically will get going. So he's in my top 7 right now. So I'm super high on Daniel Jones this week.
Yeah, he's my QB6 in early projections as well. Seahawks defense just a totally different outfit as you alluded to than the 49ers. So I know 49ers players are like making fun of Daniel Jones, like, dang, I can't believe he got all this bread. But
Yeah.
I mean, hey, when you're a good ass defense like that, I guess you can talk shit. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm with you on DJ. For me, it's a couple of guys. Brock Purdy. I have him as a top 10 quarterback this week against the Cardinals, who, as you mentioned, gave up that big game to Daniel Jones. I really like what Purdy's doing and the Niner offense is doing. I mean, they put up, upward high 20s or 30s in almost every start that he's played in. So it's time to, we know that quarterback implied point totals are very correlated because quarterbacks are usually going to score about 60 to 70% of the team's touchdowns, whether it's passing or rushing. So love Purdy in this matchup against the Cardinals where we're expecting the Niners to score 30 plus in this one. And then Russell Wilson, I have him as a fringe QB1 as well. He's QB 17 in ECR, and this Bears defense. If there's a defense that could potentially be as worse as the Broncos, it is the Chicago Bear defense. So I'm gonna continue to. I was high on Wilson last week. I'm gonna continue to ride Wilson here. It's better than last year, not perfect. Still, I think the scripted portion, Sean Payton's scripted portion of the game is better than the like the second half or whatever. But overall, I think Wilson should still be in that QB1 discussion, and ECR has him, weighed kind of a mid-range QB2.
Yeah, like Marvin Mims' emergence
Yeah.
is huge for him. He's only averaging like a 35% routes run rate, and he's still topping 70 yards a game. So I think that's really huge for Wilson too.
Yeah. Wilson, Mims is interesting because he didn't even play. He hasn't played that much on offense yet. It's been just he's like a Kadarius Toney, where when he's in there, you target him. But there's some room to grow there, and yeah, I think Judy only getting healthier should help Wilson as well. So this Bears defense, what are they? Yeah, top 5th most points allowed to quarterbacks through 3 weeks. Who you low on?
I'm low on Lamar Jackson, mainly because he's playing the Browns this week. So he opens the week as my QB 10. And last week he only threw for 202 yards, no touchdowns. But he was able to salvage his fantasy day with 100 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. But just we haven't seen the volume in the passing game we expected in this new scheme under Todd Monken. And maybe he's going to get going once he's a little bit more comfortable in the new scheme. But this week he just has an absolutely brutal matchup. The Browns defense has been dominant so far. They've held Burrow and Ryan Tannehill to less than 105 yards passing. Plus, the Ravens have been dealing with injuries in their offensive line, so this probably isn't the week to, rank Lamar in your top 5. You probably still have to play him this week. Like I said, he's my QB 10, but we have to temper our expectations when anybody's facing the Browns right now. So he's more of a low end QB1 for me this week.
Yeah, I have him 7, so a little higher. I think Fields is the guy that's jumping him.
Yeah, where do you have Fields?
I have Fields 8. No, 9. Sorry, 9. Sorry,
okay, that makes sense then.
But yeah, I agree. This is a little bit of a kind of a Jackson's not a bona fide top 5 quarterback this week. For me, I am low on Joe Burrow. He's my QB 14 to start the week, and that's just because he doesn't look quite healthy, and so I think this is going to be kind of the new norm. It's not going to be quite as explosive. He's going to get the ball out a little bit quicker, and you're playing this Titan team who they haven't been great against the pass. They're better. They're a pass funnel defense, but you're looking at a pretty low scoring game, especially for the Bengals. Usually we're projecting the Bengals to score 26, 27, 28 points. I have them projected for about 22 right now on the road in Tennessee in a game with a total of 41.5. So just not as much touchdown equity to go around here. You're really going to depend on Burrow to get 2-3 touchdowns and them not rush for any or anything like that. So a little lower on Burrow this week to start the week.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was surprised he even played this week. And he's obviously the type of quarterback that doesn't use his legs, to generate offense, but he does use his legs to escape the pocket. Like his efficiency goes way up when he's outside the pocket. So if he's having to stay inside the pocket more because he doesn't have that mobility, it will start to impact his passing game as well. So yeah, low on him as well.
Yeah, he's usually he scrambles about 4% of the time, and this year he's scrambling less than 1% of the time. So I kind of factor that stuff in, design runs, scrambles, things like that. And yeah, Burrow's rushing projection is also now one of the lowest of any quarterback. So that knocks him down a few points, or not a few points, but a few tenths of a point, which does make a big difference in these QB rankings. Okay. Prop. This is going to be interesting. I got to go with Tua Tagovailoa passing yards because, we just came off this monster game against the Broncos. Now you're playing the Bills, who have a better defense, but the total is 53.5. So I'm going to go Tua Tagovailoa passing yards. Let's go 285.5.
Wow. Okay. A little bit higher than I thought, but I was right there. Like 278.5 is my line. It's really tough to take his under, but like you said, I think this is a tougher matchup. So I'll take the under here, but that's super close.
Nice. Yeah, I want no. I don't.
Were you hoping for the under there?
No, I was hoping you took the under because I it's one of those things where I feel like the median is so tough for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it could be one of those games where the Dolphins struggle and he still throws for a lot. Although the Dolphins might just go to the Super Bowl. It's gonna be like Chiefs Dolphins AFC Championship game and the Chiefs win like 54-48 on some like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like Tua's concussed like in overtime.
Hopefully not. I hope he stays healthy.
All right. With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for some delicious, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You will save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. There are 3 main things we love about Factor. Number 1, no chopping, prepping, or cleaning up. Number 2, you get flavor and the nutritional quality you need to tackle challenging topics like what Sean Payton is going to do with his defense and Vance Joseph. And number 3 factors fresh and never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So run your own 2-minute drill with Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Select your meals and enjoy fresh meals delivered to your door. Just head to factormeals.com/Action Network Pod 50 and use code Action Network Pod 50. That's 50 to get 50% off. That's code Action Network Pod 50 at factormeals.com/Action Network Pod 50 to get 50% off. All right, running back, Sean, who you got in your top 5?
So I got Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Travis Etienne, and Josh Jacobs.
I got McCaffrey, Pollard, Bijan, Kyron Williams, and Etienne.
Oh, Kyron, nice.
Yeah, I mean, he played 100% of snaps last night.
Yeah.
He didn't, but he got overthrown on a couple of targets, but overall, it's like he's just you can't really get better than 100% of snaps.
No,
running back, like it's absurd. All right,
yeah, I mean the top 5 is wide open because no Nick Chubb.
Yep.
And then Eckler and Barkley, who knows if they do play, how effective they'll be. So yeah, I think the top 5 this week, outside of McCaffrey, obviously, is pretty wide open. So I might get there. I'm a big Kyron fan. He might make my top 5, but right now it's wide open after McCaffrey for me.
I mean, here's another candidate for the top 5. Who you hiring? The guy you're about to mention.
Oh, damn. Yeah, this guy is a candidate for sure. Zach Moss.
Yeah.
He had another big game, 30 carries, 122 yards, caught a touchdown. I mean, he is dominating playing time right now. Trey Sermon did mix in a little bit on passing downs, but it wasn't enough to really matter. So I think we get one more really, really good week from us at home against the Rams. And then next week is when it gets interesting because we don't know what's up with Jonathan Taylor. So Moss, I mean, I'm curious, what are you doing if you have Moss right now? Is he like the ultimate buy or the ultimate sell? Depending on how things shake out, like what are you doing if you have him right now? Because he's a top 10 back. He's my RB8 right now, I think. So again, he's a must play this week, but after that, what are you thinking?
I think I'd rather hold him because I think at this point we still feel like Taylor's coming back, but I don't think you're gonna get the value for him because everyone else thinks Taylor's gonna come back. So I'd rather hold him on the off chance that like this Taylor thing, like he just stays on what is it, the pup list, or they trade it, like, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm just holding him because I don't think I can get fair value for him because everyone's gonna be like,
right.
Like you got to give me a discount because he might only start for one more week. So I don't, you know what I mean? I don't really think I could get good value.
Yeah, and like if they trade Taylor away or something, he's a league winner for sure.
Right.
I think the savage thing to do, I think, is to have both. Have both, and then hopefully Taylor gets traded to like somewhere, and you have 2 RB1s or something like that. But yeah, this is a week where people have to decide what they want to do with them, and I think having both these guys makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's a top 10 running back this week. You might as well just get that last, like, if Taylor comes back, you might as well still get that last good week of value. Yeah. So I personally wouldn't trade him because I just don't think I think there's more value in just having like a top 10 running back for this week and potentially having for the rest of the year if Taylor gets traded, because no one's gonna really say, oh yeah, I'm gonna break the bank for Zach Moss, right? For me, high on Kyron Williams. I already mentioned it, but he played 100% of the snaps in week 3. He only caught 2 of his 7 targets, so Stafford was kind of overthrowing him. Stafford started the game really weird in that sense. It wasn't really Kyron's fault at all. He just kept like missing on these short throws. It looked like old school Zach Wilson out there, just whiffing on these short throws. But overall, like I said, running backs, it's all about snaps. Kyron Williams played 100% of the snaps, did not come off the field. And that, even with a slow game, relatively, that's still worth a lot. So love Kyron, who's still the RB10 in consensus. I think he should be a top 5 guy. Who you low on?
So I'm low on a couple of guys. Both these guys I was high on entering the season. The first one's AJ Dillon against the Lions. When Aaron Jones is healthy, Dillon just hasn't been able to offer consistent RB3 flex value. That's kind of why I liked him heading in the season. But I always thought, he was a potential RB2, like a high end RB2, if Aaron Jones were to miss time. And 2 weeks now, Aaron Jones is out, and Dylan has posted duds. So like I'm on the fence with him. Like I think he's droppable in shallow leagues because I think Aaron Jones will probably return this week. But just he hasn't showed the upside if Aaron Jones misses time, and you can't trust him when Aaron Jones is healthy. So I am really low on AJ Dillon this week and going forward as a result. And similar concept with Antonio Gibson. I was drafting him in the RB3 flex range, thinking, he'd provide that even when Brian Robinson was healthy. He's the pass catching back. He'll be great in, negative game scripts, maybe even leapfrog Brian Robinson. But just it hasn't been there. And, last week was the perfect game script for them. The Commanders lost by 30. And he ran a ton of routes, but he only caught 3 passes. So can't trust him. And it doesn't look like he's going to leapfrog Brian Robinson. And even if Brian Robinson misses time, it could be Chris Rodriguez that picks up most of the work. So these are 2 backs that I was admittedly pretty high on as like high upside backups entering the season. But the past, few games, I am really down on both these backs.
Yeah, Gibson, he just couldn't get it going. He had 5 targets and 3 catches for 7 yards, actually 7 yards, 3 for 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
and an ideal game script for him too. Just ideal.
Yeah, I'm low on. This is gonna be funny. I'm low on Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. And
Bold call.
right, listen. Last week was the week. Congratulations if you started one or both of those guys.
Yeah.
Obviously Mostert was a must start, but this week, the ECR on Mostert is RB7 and the ECR on Achane is 24. Now I get it. They're coming off the historic 4 touchdown games each, but Miami running backs had 53 touches in week 3. That is about double what you would have in a normal game. And for some context, the Bills against running backs have only given up 64 touches in 3 games to opposing backfield. So like this was just a massive outlier in terms of their usage. And even if you let's say you like Mostert, I still think RB7 is too high, but there's no way you can project Achane just 17 spots after him, especially in this kind of matchup. If it was a bad run defense or something like that, but the Bills really they gave up like one big run to Breece Hall, one big run to Brian Robinson, but it hasn't been like a consistent this is just a terrible run defense or anything like that. And again, if they're a threat to get ahead in games, and that would make Miami less likely to run the football because they have Tua and Tyreek, so they don't need to run. So yeah, I think both of these guys are too high. Mostert's still in that RB1, top 12 discussion. Achane is more of an RB3 though. Obviously he's probably going to fill that Jeff Wilson role behind Mostert, or maybe even leapfrog him at some point. But right now, I don't think you can have both of these guys in the top 24 against the Bills.
Right. I think people's expectations will probably be a bit too lofty. Don't expect another 40-point performance from both these guys. I put out a tweet that day. Raheem Mostert had over 140 yards and 4 touchdowns and wasn't even the highest scoring running back on his own team. That was just incredible. Just incredible. But they're very tricky to project this week. But like you said, this is a tougher matchup.
Yeah, it's just like to get 2 running backs in the top 24, it has to be a very special situation. Period. And I don't think this is quite it. That Denver defense is probably going to go down. It's a lot worse than people thought coming into the year. All right, what are you doing for prop?
Well, I'm going right to the Dolphins backfield. Let's go Devon Achane. Actually, I think he said after the game it's Achane or something like that. Achane's super cool, so we'll stick with that, but I think it's Achane. I think he corrected it for the record.
Achane, okay.
Achane. But let's go total rushing and receiving yards for him.
Okay.
I'm going to set the line at 67.5.
Under. I have it in the mid 50s still.
Damn.
It's still like this. It's coming off this game. It's just like there's, like you said, there's no way to project it really accurately. But the bottom line is there's just so many touches to go around on a normal game in the backfield. So I think to hit that, you would either have to break another big play, which is possible, or cut into Mostert even more, which is also possible. But as of now, I still have Mostert as the lead back.
Yeah.
Still have Achane as the number 2. So yeah, I got to go under there.
Yeah, he is a big play threat. I think that's the thing with him. He might be more of a boom bust play than people realize. Like he could have, like a down game and then a big game. Like I don't think he's going to be necessarily consistent week to week, but he has that big play upside. That's why I think the Dolphins drafted him, but I don't think the consistency is going to be there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also possible he leapfrogs Mostert or Mostert gets hurt, which in that case,
right?
Then you would get.
Yeah, and I think at this point, like Ahmed, once he returns, it doesn't matter. Like obviously he leapfrogged him. I think even once Jeff Wilson returns, I don't think that matters. So I think he has solidified himself at least as the RB2. And yeah, Mostert, he's been an injury risk his entire career. So if he misses time, that's when we start ranking Achane as, like a RB1, RB2 fringe, but only in that scenario.
Yeah. And I wonder, Miami might trade one of these guys. I mean, because I heard Ahmed was having a really good camp, and that's why he was playing early too. So I mean, maybe you trade. Because like, what are you gonna do with Wilson when he comes back?
Remember, this is the team that was supposedly gonna get like Dalvin Cook or like all these guys. Now they have too many running backs. They got to trade them away.
Yeah. It's nuts. Okay, let's go to wide receiver. Who you got? Top 5.
Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, and AJ Brown.
I got Jefferson, Hill, Allen, Devontae Adams, and Jamar Chase.
Nice.
Who you high
on? So I'm high on Rashee Rice, just because I think he might be on the verge of the breakout we thought might happen this season. But he saw his routes run rate break 50% for the first time. It was 51%. That had mostly to do with, Richie James on IR, Kadarius Toney's banged up, but what's new? And he had a nice 5-catch, 59-yard game. And anybody that could potentially emerge as a top 2 or 3 option for Mahomes is worth monitoring. Can't trust him this week in, normal size leagues, especially, against the Jets. But if I'm in deeper leagues or just medium sized leagues, I think it's worth to add him and stash him just in case, because he has the talent. This depth chart's wide open, so he could end up, being a top 2 receiver. So monitoring him. And Josh Palmer against the Raiders. Obviously Mike Williams unfortunately done for the season. And while they did add first-round pick Quentin Johnson, to have more depth insurance in case Keenan Allen or Mike Williams went down, he's still behind Palmer. He is a pretty raw prospect, has a ton of upside, but I just don't think it's there yet. So I think Palmer's going to be the wide receiver 2 right now. He stepped up big when needed last year. So the guy to add and use right now is Josh Palmer. I think if I'm in a deeper league and you just want to stash somebody with upside, go with Quentin Johnson. I think that could happen maybe in the second half of the season. But right now, Josh Palmer is definitely like a wide receiver 3 option.
Yeah, I think Palmer is that guy. He's that guy that's going to have to step up. Johnson's been having a bit of a problem so far. Like he's just been struggling. So Palmer, he got that. What did he get? Like a lucky, was it touchdown? Or I remember seeing something tipped into his hands in that Charger Viking game. I think it was a touchdown. Either way, it was. Yeah. Either way, yeah. Like Palmer as well. And Rice too. Yeah, I think Rice is on the upswing. Crowded wide receiver room, but
yeah.
Do think he has some talent. He's got to stop dropping passes, man. Every time I look up, he's dropping a pass.
Yeah.
For me, I'm high on going right back. I'm pretty sure I said this last week, but Tutu Atwell, man. He's the wide receiver 36 in consensus. He's my wide receiver 12 to open the week. He's run around on 94% of the dropbacks. He's averaging 5.4 catches for 82 yards on just under 9 targets per game. He's also getting a carry per game. And the Colts are giving up the 7th most fantasy points to wide receivers. So, I know Puka is getting all the noise, but Tutu almost had a second touchdown. I don't know if he stepped out on that play. Like they said he stepped out because the shadow of his foot went over the out of bounds line, but it looked like the front of his foot hit inbounds, and that was just the shadow. So he should have had 2 touchdowns. People would have probably ranked him higher. But as it stands, I think this guy's at no worse than a wide receiver 2 right now in fantasy. Just the way the Rams are playing, guys aren't coming off the field, and they probably left some production on the field on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I was like plus 20 against ECR last week. People are sleeping on Tutu. Obviously, Puka is the top, target, but Tutu's been right there, mainly at the expense of, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee. But and this is going to be fascinating, especially if Cooper Kupp returns next week. I think he could be closer to 100%. Like how we're going to project this, target share is going to be fascinating to me because, yeah, like Tutu should still be seeing targets. Puka, obviously, it's going to be fascinating to see.
Oh yeah, the Rams team, like this offense, suddenly a high-powered offense. We didn't even, kind of like
Yeah.
sleeping on it coming into the year, especially once Cup got hurt. But
Yep.
Sean McVay doing Sean McVay things. Okay, who are you low on?
So I mean, I would just be cautious with Brandon Ayuk. If he suits up, he might be a little bit limited. Both Ayuk and Debo are banged up, so probably don't need them to beat the Cardinals. I think they might lean on McCaffrey and Kittle a bit more in this game. Plus, Ayuk's due for some regression in terms of catch rate. He has an 80% catch rate this year with a dot of 14. So something's got to give there. And I think he's going to be pushing wide receiver one value this year when he's 100% healthy. I don't think that's going to be this week. So just be careful with him if he does suit up. He's more of a high end wide receiver three for me, at least early in the week. And the other guy is Michael Gallup. He finally had a useful game for fantasy last week. Caught 6 balls, 92 yards. But the underlying usage has still been a concern. He's only seeing a target on 12% of his routes. His A dot is actually higher this year at 12.2. We thought it sounded like they were saying they were going to get him more high percentage looks. That hasn't come to fruition. Brandon Cooks returned to action last week, and CeeDee Lamb had a down game. So I think Lamb's going to bounce back next week at the expense of Gallup. So as of now, like Gallup probably needs, Cooks or Lamb to miss time to trust him. But just because he had the big game, I wouldn't put him in your lineup. The underlying usage is definitely a concern still for him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And as Cooks gets healthier,
Yeah.
um, it's probably not going to be there. For Gallup, I am low on Drake London. I have him closer to wide receiver 50s, wide receiver 40 in
Damn.
ECR. It's really just you're not projecting this Falcon offense for a ton of passing yards, and with the way London has been playing. I mean, he's had 2 or fewer receptions in 2-3 games. It's the consistency is just not there. So it's like you're banking on him to have like a bunch of targets and actually produce with this low volume pass offense. So I just we still have no bye week, so I just think there are a lot better
Yeah.
receivers you could be starting right now, and kind of have to just give it a wait and see with Drake London, because if Pitts is healthy and Bijan is healthy, it's going to be really tough for Pitts and London to be consistent on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and like if Cordell Patterson returns at some point, like what plan they have for him, we'll only cut into these guys even more. But this is just the offense where like elite pass catchers go to die. It's such a shame that Drake London and Kyle Pitts are on this team.
All right, let's see. Prop. Let's go
What do
with
you got?
Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen in the revenge
Ah,
game, because he's been putting up some numbers recently, and I guess we don't know for sure if it's going to be Dalton or Young. It looks probably going to be Dalton, but Thielen is fresh off an 11 catch, 145-yard
Jesus.
game. So I'm gonna set his receiving yardage at, let's go, 49 and a half.
Oh, damn. That's a bit higher than I wanted. I was gonna go with the over. Um, Not high enough to yeah, no, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna bank on. I want Dalton to get one more start for this to go over, and Mingo he's in the concussion
Yep.
protocol. I'm very worried that he might miss this week. If he's out, I would definitely have this a bit higher. So early in the week, I'll just go over here. I think he has multiple paths to clear this.
All right. We got a few of these revenge games, by the way. We got Calvin Ridley against the Falcons.
Oh,
Steven
nice.
against Steven against
The
the
Vikings.
Vikings. Yep. More memories are made when you're there for live NFL action, and when you need tickets, our friends at Ticketmaster have got you covered. As the official marketplace of the NFL, Ticketmaster gives you more ways to find your perfect seat Their interactive seat map gives you 360-degree previews of your section to make sure that you have the best view of those pivotal plays. And if your plans change, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell or transfer your tickets. Plus, mobile tickets make getting in on game day a breeze, and you can even customize your Ticketmaster app to rep your favorite team's colors. Find tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/NFL. Sean, who you got for tight ends top 5?
Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, and George Kittle.
Yep, I got Kelce, Hawkinson, Andrews, Kittle, and then Waller. So same top 5 pretty much. Who you high on?
Sam Laporta.
Oh, yeah.
He broke the record for most receptions over the first 3 games of their career. I was thinking he could be the next TJ Hawkinson, but not this soon. But he is definitely there. He's seeing, an 80% routes run rate, 26.5 target rate, which is just phenomenal. And an ADOT, which I think is ideal for a tight end, right around 6. So it's like the perfect storm for a tight end. He's just outside of my top 5 right now, but I think he's there. I think he's probably going to be one of the more consistent tight ends in this range. Kittle might not be as consistent. Maybe even Darren Waller won't be as consistent. Can't trust Goddard or Pitts. So Laporta could be in my rest of season top 5 the rest of the way. Probably just need to see one more game, but he seems like one of the safer bets for 4.5 or 5 receptions a game. So I was high on him entering the season, but he's blowing my expectations away. So all in on Laporta this week.
Yeah, he's my tight end 6. Was my tight end 6 last week as well. He's just
nice.
He's getting too many routes, and is producing too much to have him any lower than that.
And we're not concerned about Jamison Williams' return at all for him.
No.
That was one of the knocks on him. Is he still going to be the number 2 target when Jamison returns? Yes.
I think he's. It looks like if anything, it's more like worry about Reynolds and all those guys, because I think Reynolds had a goose egg last week, and Jones saw his playing time go down. So yeah, those guys are the guys that'll be affected the most. I am high on a fellow rookie, Luke Musgrave. So same game. He's my tight end 10. He's the tight end 13 in ECR. He's been running around on 82% of Jordan Love's dropbacks, and the Lions are giving up the second most fantasy points to tight ends. So like this matchup for Musgrave. Looks like Watson might still miss another game too. So not too worried about the competition for targets here. Just gonna go with the routes, which are generally the most predictive thing for these tight ends. That's why Laporta, is kind of on our radar because he was playing almost every snap, and Musgrave is up there too at 82%. So I like him as a top 10 this week.
Yeah, the Lions have allowed 6 different tight ends to clear 30 yards.
Nuts.
In 3 games. That's insane.
Yeah, they do this. They do this every so often. I feel like it's like the Lions, the Cardinals, the Giants. One of these teams is going to be the worst against tight ends every single year. Okay, who are you low on at tight end?
Unfortunately, it's Kyle Pitts again. He has been one of the most frustrating tight ends since he's entered the league. Not because of his talent, just the way the Falcons use him. There's top 3 potential there for sure. He's averaging a whopping 90% routes run rate, which is solid, obviously, but only seeing a target on 16.5% of those routes. And he's still only seeing targets downfield, as a 8 out of 12, which, we should only expect around a 63% catch rate that far down the field from an average quarterback. But, Desmond Ridder is below average, minus 6% in terms of completion rate over expected, according to Next Gen Stats, which is tied for 3rd worst. So he would need a good quarterback to really produce in fantasy, with a 12 ADOT. Plus, Bijan is commanding targets underneath, so that removes all hope that Pitts is going to start seeing those underneath targets. And like I said, at some point, Cordell Patterson might get involved, which is only going to take away a couple more targets to go around. So unfortunately, Kyle Pitts is more of a low end tight end 1 with this kind of usage. Sure, he's going to have big games, but they're going to be every few weeks now, which is just super frustrating because the talent's there, but we just can't trust him as a top 5 tight end right now.
Yeah, it's like him and London. It's just they're gonna have games, but when like
Yeah.
who knows? And when they don't have big games, it's usually going to be pretty bad because
Yeah.
it's not a normal volume passing offense. I am low on Hunter Henry compared to ECR. He's the tight end 12 in expert consensus. I have him tight end 18. Dallas is giving up the 10th fewest points to tight ends, but this is more just, I think, Henry was a product of that high volume pass game against the Dolphins in week 1. And then he was able to score again in week 2. But generally his usage, last week he ran around on 73% of the dropbacks. He's still mixing in, splitting time with Mike Gesicki, who's getting around 50% or more. So I don't think Henry is, even though he had 2 good games to start the year, I think he's going to come back down to earth and regress a little bit. And we started to see that last week. So yeah, I have him projected for like just over 3 catches for 37 yards. And then there's not much touchdown equity this week against Dallas. I have the Patriots projected in the teens against this Dallas defense. So low on Henry. Okay, what are you doing for the tight end prop?
Let's go with Sam Laporta. Like I said, the 18 receptions for the first 3 games is the most ever by a tight end. 5 more than the previous tight end, so he should still have the record after this week, no matter what. But let's go with his receptions. I'm gonna set it at 4.5.
Oof. That's exactly what I have it at.
I know, it's tough. Where's your lean though?
Well, let's see. The Packers have given up the 4th most receptions to tight ends. And what is Laporte? I think does he have 5 or more in every game? Let's see.
Yeah, 5, 5, and 8.
Ooh.
High catch rate. His catch rate is the one thing I think
it's gonna regress. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like 4. Yeah, I think 4.5 is a good line. Good luck picking which side, but yeah.
I'll go. That's tough. I'll go. Let's see. This is really tough.
Guarantee that's what his prop's going to be too.
So. Oh yeah, it has to be.
Yeah,
you can't go 5.5, but 3.5 is too low.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go under. I'll say he gets some yardage, but I'll say they maybe devote a little more attention to him this week. So I'll go. They've only given up 1 5-catch game, even though they've given up a lot of catches.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't know if Montgomery's going to play, but Gibbs' routes run rate is going up, and I think as that continues to go up, that could eat into Laporta. And he has an 82% catch rate. So yeah, I lean under, but betting against Laporta hasn't won anybody any money yet, so it's tough.
Yeah, I'll just because I have it right exactly on that. So
yeah,
I'll go under. But yeah, it's close. All right, that's going to do it for our Week 4 NFL player projections episode of the Action Network podcast presented by BetMGM. For more fantasy content from Sean and I, be sure to check out our full fantasy preview episode, which is out right now over on the Fantasy Flex podcast channel. If you're into betting, be sure to check out my weekly betting preview episode right here every Thursday with Stuckey. And also be sure to check out the Favorites podcast as well. ActionNetwork.com for all of our NFL fantasy and betting content, FantasyLabs.com for our DFS tools and models. You can follow Sean on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we're at those same handles at the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this money.